The stars above Earth shimmered like tiny diamonds. Far above the clouds, a sleek black alien ship hovered in silence. It had no markings, no lights, and made no sound. Inside the ship stood Commander Travana, one of the most feared warriors. Of the Andari Empire, Travana was not like humans. Her skin was smooth and violet blue. Her eyes glowed silver, and her armor was made of living metal that moved with her. She had been trained since childhood in the arts of war, silence, and obedience. She had fought in 12-star battles. She had never failed a mission, and now her new mission was Earth. The Andari High Council had received strange reports. A sound. Signal from Earth had reached deep space. It was powerful, emotional, and dangerous. Some alien scouts who heard the signal reported strange feelings. One wept uncontrollably. Another dropped his weapon. One even refused to fight ever again. The Council feared Earth had created a new sound weapana, device that could weaken alien minds through emotions. Commander Travana's mission was simple. Find the source. Destroy it. Leave. She stood in her ship's command center. A hologram of Earth spun slowly before her. Target locked, the ship's AI said. Travana's lips barely moved. Take me there. The ship entered Earth's atmosphere without alerting any satellite. Travana stepped into the teleport pad, her armor ready, her blade humming softly. In a flash of blue light, she vanished from the ship and appeared on a rooftop in the middle of a city below. It was New York City. It was loud. It was fast. It was alive. Cars honked. Music played from stores. People shouted and laughed. Buildings stood tall, like glass mountains. For someone from a quiet world like Andarian Prime, it was overwhelming. Travana activated her translator chip. The strange human language turned into understandable speech in her ears. She scanned the area. The sound signal came from a place nearby. A small building, neon sign, vinyl dreams, music shop. Her scanner confirmed it. That was the location. Travana walked calmly through the streets. People passed by her, thinking she was just a human in a fancy costume. She stepped into the store. Music hit her like a wave. It was coming from speakers on the wall. Guitars hung from the ceiling. Rows of discs lined the shelves. The room smelled of old plastic wires and something sweet. A young man with messy brown hair stood behind the counter. He wore a shirt that read, "Make music, not war." He smiled. "Hey, you here for some vinyl? You look like you came from Comic-Con." Travana didn't reply. Her eyes scanned the room. Her wrist scanner beeped. The signal was coming from the back-end old machine spinning a black disc. "Earth sound device located," she whispered. Her fingers twitched. Her plasma blade could burn it in seconds. She took a step forward, but then the music changed. A new song began. It was slow at first. A guitar cried. A voice followed. "There's a lady who's sure all that glitters is gold, ... The voice was deep and full of feeling. The words meant nothing at first, but the sound, the melody, it was pulling at something inside her. Travana froze. The music felt like a memory she never had, like a dream she forgot. She had never heard anything like this in her life. Her hand lowered slowly. The boy behind the counter tilted his head. "Are you?" "Okay," Travana blinked. "What is this?" He smiled. "That's Led Zeppelin, one of the greatest rock bands of our time." She stepped closer to the machine. "It's not a weapon." The boy laughed. "A weapon? No way. It's music. It heals. It moves people. It speaks when words fail." Travana looked confused. It caused emotional collapse in trained soldiers. The boy raised an eyebrow. "You mean it made them feel something? That's what music does." She didn't answer. Instead, she walked to the machine. Her armored fingers hovered over the spinning disc. She pressed a button. The music stopped. Silence the city. Outside was still loud. But inside the shop, everything felt still. She stared at the boy. "How do I use this machine?" He smiled. "I'll show you." He picked up a new record, a colorful one with fire and lightning on the cover. "You want something powerful?" he asked. "Try this." He placed it gently on the turntable, dropped the needle, and stepped back. The speakers roared. Thunder. Thunder, thunderstruck. Electric guitars screamed. Drums exploded like cannons. The voice was raw, shouting, proud. Travana's eyes widened. Her heart raced. Her breath quickened. It felt like going into battle. But without a weapon, it felt like pure energy. She didn't know this feeling. Her training taught her to control emotion. But now, she was losing that control. And she didn't hate it. "This is what humans do?" she asked. "Yeah," said the boy. "We make noise. But sometimes, that noise changes lives." Travana stared at the record player. This sound device had the power to destroy discipline. It could confuse warriors, break shields, but not with force, with feeling. It was more powerful than she imagined. But maybe it wasn't dangerous. Maybe it was beautiful. "Your name?" she asked. "I'm Jace," the boy replied. "And you?" "Commander Travana of the Andari Empire," she said, her voice still calm. Jace whistled. "Wow, that sounds official." She nodded. "I came to destroy." "This," he held up his hands. "Please don't." She didn't respond. Instead, she stepped forward and looked at the device. Her fingers trembled slightly. She reached out, pressed one button. Playing the music began again. The alien warrior, who had trained for years to block every emotion, now felt something strange, something she couldn't explain. Her hands, always steady, were now trembling just a little. Her heart beat faster with every drumbeat, every guitar scream, every voice filled with fire and soul. Why? Music was nothing but sound. Why did it feel like more? The song ended. The shop was quiet again. Jace, the young human behind the counter, was smiling. "So, Commander, what do you think?" Travana turned to him slowly. I do not understand, but I do not wish to destroy it anymore." "That's a start," Jace said, handing her a pair of large headphones. "Here, try these. You'll hear the music closer, like it's inside your mind." She took the headphones, confused. "Inside my mind?" "Just put them on," he said with a grin. She placed them over her ears. Jace clicked play. "Welcome to the jungle. We got fun and games." Travana flinched. The sound was louder, closer, more intense. The instruments roared. The voice laughed, shouted, danced inside her head. The beats hit like thunder in her chest. She grabbed the counter to stay upright. So much noise, but also so much life. She had faced plasma storms and space beasts. She had walked through fire. But this was something new. She pulled off the headphones. "This is not safe," she whispered. "Why not?" Jace asked. "I am a trained warrior. Nothing breaks me. But this sound, it moves me." "That's what music does," Jace said. "It goes past your armor." Travana stared at the machine. Her training had prepared her for physical threats. Not this. Not something that could change her from the inside. "I must report to my command," she said, her voice cold again. "They believe this sound is a weapon. Will they come here?" Jace asked. She nodded. "They will come, and they will destroy. Even if it's just music. To them, emotion is weakness. And this sound, it brings too much emotion." Jace walked over to the record player and turned the volume down. What if they're wrong? Travana didn't answer. She walked toward the door, then stopped. "I will return," she said. "Do not let this sound leave Earth." Jace raised an eyebrow. "You're protecting music now." She didn't look back. "I don't know what I'm doing." Then she vanished in a blink of blue light. High orbit aboard the starship Vengeance of Orca. The inside of the Andari battleship was cold and dark. Everything was metal. Everything was silent. Commander Travana stepped into the war chamber. High Lord Varek, a tall, cruel-looking male with silver armor and burning red eyes, sat on the command seat. "You have returned," he said. "Report." Travana stood straight. "The sound source has been found. It is a simple machine called a record player. The humans use it to create organized noise called music. Does it match the weapon signal?" Varek asked. "Yes, but it is not a weapon by design." Varek narrowed his eyes. "Is it dangerous?" Travana hesitated. "It affects the mind strongly. Then it must be destroyed," Varek said. "It weakens us." Travana opened her mouth to argue, then stopped. She had never gone against orders before. Why now? She lowered her head. Understood. But deep inside, she wasn't sure anymore. Back on Earth, Vinyl Dreams Music Shop Jace looked at the door where Travana had disappeared. "Weirdest customer ever," he muttered. He cleaned up the counter, but his mind was racing. Aliens were real. They were listening to music, and they might destroy Earth because of it. Then he had an idea. He pulled out his phone and began making a playlist. "If they're going to hear music," he whispered, "they'll hear the best." He titled the list "For the Aliens Music of Earth." He added jazz, blues, classical, rock, metal, hip-hop, folk, electronic, even sounds of the rainforest and oceans. Every sound that made humans feel something. One day later, Earth's orbit the Andari fleet arrived. 10 massive warships, invisible to human satellites, each carrying weapons that could melt cities. High Lord Varek stood at the edge of the bridge, watching Earth spin below. "Begin scan," he ordered. "Find every source of music. Erase them." Commander Travana stood silently beside him. She had said nothing since they left, but now she spoke. "There is something I must show you." Varek frowned. "Speak." She held up a small device, a human music player. She pressed play. "Imagine there's no heaven." The voice was calm, gentle, dreamlike. The ship's AI paused. Unknown signal detected. Emotional disruption rising. Some of the soldiers looked uneasy. Varek growled, "Shut that thing off." "No," Travana said firmly. "You need to hear this." She stepped forward, holding out the device. "This is not a weapon. It's a part of who they are," Varek sneered. "They are weak. They are alive," Travana replied. "More alive than us." The song played on. "You may say I'm a dreamer." Varek slammed his hand down. "Caesar." 2 guards moved but froze. Tears rolled down one soldier's face. Another dropped his blaster. "I remember my home," one whispered. Before the war, Varek looked around, furious. But it was too late. The sound had already entered their minds, and it was changing everything. Above Earth, the great Andari fleet stood still in orbit. Their weapons were fully charged. Their orders were clear. Destroy Earth's sound. Inside the flagship Vengeance of Orca, something unexpected was happening. Commander Travana had just played a human song on a small Earth device. It was soft, dreamy, and full of hope. The soldiers' cold, trained warriors were now quiet. One soldier had tears in his eyes. Another had dropped his weapon. Even the ship's voice had paused, as if thinking. High Lord Varek looked around in shock. "This is weakness. Stop the music, now." but no one moved. Travana stood tall. This is not weakness. This is awakening. If you've been infected, Varric hissed. Earth has poisoned your mind. Travana looked him in the eyes. Then, maybe it needed to be poisoned. Varric's hand shot up. Guards, arrest her. 2 armored guards stepped forward, but hesitated. The song still played. Imagine all the people, living life in peace. The words, though strange, held power. These soldiers had heard nothing but commands their whole lives. Now a song was offering them something else, a choice. I don't want to fight anymore, whispered one. I remember when I was a child, said another. Before the training, before silence. Varric roared. Enough. He slammed his fist into a panel. The music cut off. The room went silent again. A silence so heavy, it hurt. Commander Travana is under arrest, Varric growled. She will be taken to the interrogation cell. The invasion of Earth begins now. Travana didn't resist as the guards took her arms. She whispered, You are afraid, Varric, not of Earth, but of feeling something. He turned away. Take her below. In the interrogation cell, the cell was made of dark energy fields. It had no doors, no windows, no furniture. Just floating walls of blue light. Travana sat cross-legged on the floor. Her armor had been removed. Her hands were bound, but her mind was racing. She had heard songs about love, war, joy, sadness, and dreams. In just one visit to Earth, she had felt more than she had in a lifetime of silence. And now Earth was in danger. She had to stop the attack. How? Suddenly, a small beep echoed in the cell. A tiny screen flickered on the wall. A face appeared young. Human.jace, he had hacked into the fleet systems using a signal boost from his music shop. His voice came through the speaker, soft but urgent. Travana, can you hear me? She stood quickly. Jace, how did you reach this ship? Don't ask, he said. Let's just say I know some people. Are you okay? I'm trapped. The attack is about to begin. We don't have much time, Jace said. I've sent your favorite songs into the fleet's communication system. If we can play them across all ships, maybe we can wake them up. It might work, she said, eyes narrowing. But someone must activate the command core. I can guide you there, Jace said. But you'll need to escape first. Travana looked at the floating energy walls. Leave that to me. The escaped Travana took a deep breath. She closed her eyes. She focused on the rhythm of one of Earth's songs, the deep drums and wild energy of rock and roll. The memory gave her strength. She stood up and ran straight at the wall. The energy stung her skin, but she pushed through. Gritting her teeth, her body hit the floor outside. Guards shouted. Alarms rang. She was free. She moved like lightning. She knocked one guard out with a kick. Another dropped his weapon, too shocked to fight. Within seconds, she was gonna racing. Down the corridors of the ship, Jay's voice came through her earpiece. Go left, then take the second door. The command core is just ahead. Travana reached the main control room. A giant screen showed Earth below. Target zones were marked in red. Varric stood there, ready to give the final order. Too late, he sneered. We begin firing in 10 seconds. Travana stepped into the room, then let them hear Earth's answer. She sedaned pressed the panel. Across the fleet, the ships suddenly shook. Every screen lit up, every speaker came. A live music blasted through the Endari fleet. We will rock you. Don't stop believing. Born to be wild. Eye of the tiger. Soldiers froze. Some smiled. Others dropped to their knees. Overwhelmed. Memories returned. Homes, friends, feelings. Lost years in the silence of space. Earth's music now roared louder than any weapon. The turning point Varric tried to shut the system down, but it was too late. One by one, ships stopped their attack. Pilots refused to fire. Engineers wept. Commanders listened. Travana faced Varric. "You have already lost," she said. He lunged at her, but she moved faster in a swift move. She flipped him to the floor and held his own blade at his throat. "It's over," she said. Varric growled. "You turned them soft." "No," she said. "I helped them remember they are alive." Back on Earth, Vinyl Dreamstay sat on the floor of his shop, headphones on, watching as the news reports came in. Alien fleet retreats from Earth. No shots fired. Strange musical signals saved the planet. Hey, he smiled. The playlist had worked, and somewhere out there, he knew Travana was still listening. The stars above Earth were quiet again. The Andari fleet had retreated, leaving the planet untouched. No cities burned. No humans were harmed, and all because of music. But one ship did not return to Andari space. The ship belonged to Commander T.R. Ivana. She stood at the edge of a cliff just outside the city alone, silent, watching Earth's golden sun rise. The mission had ended. The threat was over. Her people no longer viewed Earth's sound as a weapon, but Travana wasn't ready to leave. Something inside her had changed. She no longer felt like a weapon. Herself. Somewhere in the city, Vinyl Dream's music shop Jace was cleaning up the store. The news had finally stopped talking about alien fleet disrupted by sound waves. People still didn't know the full truth, but Jace did. He looked up when the door opened. Travana entered, still in alien armor, but without her helmet. Her silver eyes seemed softer now. Jace grinned. "Back already?" "I said I would return," she replied. He handed her a pair of headphones. "I've got new songs for you." She took them carefully, like they were sacred. "I wish to understand more." They sat down on the floor of the shop. Jace connected a small speaker and pressed play. Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen began to play. As the music shifted from slow to fast, sad to strange, Travana closed her eyes. She was quiet, listening deeply. Jace watched her. "What does it feel like for you?" She opened her eyes slowly. "It is like being reborn. Every note, every voice, shows me something new." She paused, "And yet, it hurts." "Why does it hurt?" Jace nodded. "Because music brings out what we hide. Pain, joy, fear, love." She repeated, "I do not understand that word." "You will," he said. They shared a quiet moment as the music swirled around them. High Lord Varric's quarters, Andari command ship far across the stars. Varric sat in silence. He had lost, and worse, he had felt something. He kept hearing that voice, the music, the human emotions. He had tried to forget. But COULD in single quotes, and now the council wanted answers. Explain how one planet of primitives stopped an entire fleet. A council member demanded. Varric said nothing. Because deep down, he feared something even more than failure. He feared that Travana had been right back on Earth. Travana's learning begins over the next few days. Travana stayed with Jace. She slept in the back room of the shop, surrounded by instruments and records. She asked questions every day. What is jazz? Why do humans sing when they are sad? What is the meaning of heartbreak? Jace answered what he could. Sometimes he'd just let her listen. She listened to blues and said it reminded her of warriors who had lost friends in battle. Classical, and said it felt like the stars moving. Hip-hop, and said it was like warriors telling their story. Metal, and smiled for the first time. This is war, but beautiful. Each night she sat on the roof, listening to music and watching Earth. Each day, she learned more about humans, not just their sound, but their hearts. One evening trouble returns the peace didn't last. One night, while Trevana and Jace listened to music outside the shop, a black car pulled up. 3 men stepped out, wearing dark suits and holding strange devices. One of them flashed a badge. U.S. Intelligence. We need to speak with the alien. Trevana stood up slowly. I am not hiding. The agent spoke firmly. You led an alien fleet to Earth. That makes you dangerous. Jace stepped forward. She stopped the attack. She saved us. Another agent pulled out a scanner. That may be true, but we need to know what else she's capable of. Trevana's voice was calm. I am capable of many things, but I choose peace. The lead agent lowered his scanner. You're not human. That alone makes you a threat. Jace clenched his fists. No, that makes her hope. You people just don't hear what she hears. The agent looked at Trevana. Then prove it. Show us what made you change. Jace's eyes lit up. I know just the place. The park, the first human-alien concert a day later. A stage was set up in the city park. The word had spread. Alien Warrior hosts Music Peace event. Thousands came. News cameras, musicians, kids, curious people. Trevana stood on the stage, wearing armor but holding a microphone. She looked nervous. Jace stood beside her. Don't think too hard. Just press play. She nodded. Then she spoke to the crowd. I came to your world to destroy a sound. I thought it was a weapon. I was wrong. It is not a weapon. It is a gift. She pressed play, and music filled the air. What a wonderful world began to play. People stood in silence. Then came more music. Different genres, different emotions. Trevana stood quietly, watching people dance, laugh, cry, and hug. She looked at Jace. This is what peace sounds like. He nodded. And this is only the beginning. The stars above Earth were quiet again. The Andari fleet had retreated, leaving the planet untouched. No cities burned. No humans were harmed, and all because of music. But one ship did not return to Andari space. The ship belonged to Commander Tr. Ivana. She stood at the edge of a cliff just outside the city alone. Silent, watching Earth's golden sun rise. The mission had ended. The threat was over. Her people no longer viewed Earth's sound as a weapon, but Trevana wasn't ready to leave. Something inside her had changed. She no longer felt like a weapon. Herself. Somewhere in the city, Vinyl Dreams Music Shop Jace was cleaning up the store. The news had finally stopped talking about alien fleet disrupted by sound waves. People still didn't know the full truth, but Jace did. He looked up when the door opened. Trevana entered. Still in alien armor, but without her helmet. Her silver eyes seemed softer now. Jace grinned. Back already. I said I would return, she replied. He handed her a pair of headphones. I've got new songs for you. She took them carefully, like they were sacred. I wish to understand more. They sat down on the floor of the shop. Jace connected a small speaker and pressed play. Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen began to play. As the music shifted from slow to fast, sad to strange, Trevana closed her eyes. She was quiet, listening deeply. Jace watched her. What does it feel like for you? She opened her eyes slowly. It is like being reborn. Every note, every voice, shows me something new. She paused, and yet it hurts. Why does it hurt? Jace nodded. Because music brings out what we hide. Pain, joy, fear, love, she repeated. I do not understand that word. You will, he said. They shared a quiet moment as the music swirled around them. High Lord Varric's quarters. Andari command ship far across the stars. Varric sat in silence. He had lost, And worse, he had felt something. He kept hearing that voice, the music, the human emotions. He had tried to forget, but could, and now. The council wanted answers. Explain how one planet of primitives stopped an entire fleet. A council member demanded. Varek said nothing, because deep down, he feared something even more than failure. He feared that Travana had been right back on Earth. Travana's learning begins over the next few days. Travana stayed with Jace. She slept in the back room of the shop, surrounded by instruments and records. She asked questions every day. What is jazz? Why do humans sing when they are sad? What is the meaning of heartbreak? Jace answered what he could. Sometimes he just let her listen. She listened to blues, and said it reminded her of warriors who had lost friends in battle. Classical, and said it felt like the stars moving. Hip-hop, and said it was like warriors telling their story. Metal, and smiled for the first time. This is war, but beautiful. Each night, she sat on the roof, listening to music and watching Earth each day. She learned more about humans, not just their sound, but their hearts. One evening trouble returns to the peace didn't last one night while Travana and Jace listened. To music outside the shop, a black car pulled up. 3 men stepped out, wearing dark suits and holding strange devices. One of them flashed a badge. U.S. Intelligence. We need to speak with the alien. Travana stood up slowly. I am not hiding. The agent spoke firmly. You led an alien fleet to Earth. That makes you dangerous. Jace stepped forward. She stopped the attack. She saved us. Another agent pulled out a scanner. That may be true, but we need to know what else she's capable of. Travana's voice was calm. I am capable of many things, but I choose peace. The lead agent lowered his scanner. You're not human. That alone makes you a threat. Oh, Jace. Clenched his fists. No, that makes her hope. You people just don't hear what she hears. The agent looked at Travana. Then prove it. Show us what made you change. Jace's eyes lit up. I know just the place. The park, the first human-alien concert. Day later, a stage was set up in the city park. The word had spread. Alien Warrior hosts Music Peace event. Thousands came. News cameras, musicians, kids, curious people. Travana stood on the stage, wearing armor, but holding a microphone. She looked nervous. Jace stood beside her. Don't think too hard. Just press play. She nodded. Then she spoke to the crowd. I came to your world to destroy a sound. I thought it was a weapon. I was wrong. It is not a weapon. It is a gift. She pressed play, and music filled the air. What a wonderful world began to play. People stood in silence. Then came more music. Different genres, different emotions. Travana stood quietly, watching people dance, laugh, cry, and hug. She looked at Jace. This is what peace sounds like. He nodded. And this is only the beginning. Commander Travana stood inside her holding cell, staring at the blinking message on her hidden communicator. The Nihari were coming. Ah, race known for one belief. Silence is holy. Sound is sin. They didn't warn. They didn't talk. They erased. And they were already on their way to Earth. She tapped the wall, trying to send a coded message to her ship. Nothing the humans had blocked all alien signals. She closed her eyes and whispered, I must escape, or Earth will fall. Meanwhile, Jace's Haiducha sat in a small basement full of wires, radios, speakers, and laptops. The world was buzzing. His #LetterPlay campaign had gone global. People everywhere were posting their favorite songs. Old records were sold out. Street musicians played in every city. Earth was louder than ever. But Jace knew it wasn't enough. he had seen. Travana's face when she got that signal, he could tell. Something big was coming, and no one was ready. Inside the military facility, breakout back at the human base, Travana sat still. Watching the guards from her cell, she waited for the right moment. One of the guards leaned closer to her cell. Still quiet, alien. She didn't answer. Her eyes flicked to the security camera above .1.2. Now she tapped her cuffs twice. The lights flickered. Her armor's hidden AI system kicked in with a soft click. The cuffs popped open. Before the guard could react, Travana moved in seconds. The guard was unconscious. She took his keycard and dashed into the hallway. Alarms rang. Lights turned red, but she was already gone outside. Escaped to Vinyl Dreams to Vina, hijacked a small military bike, and sped through the dark streets. Avoiding roadblocks, she reached Vinyl Dreams at dawn. Jace was inside, rewiring a speaker system. When the door burst open, "Travana, they're coming," she said. A fleet. The Nahari Jace froze. Who? They believe sound must be destroyed. All sound. All life that sings or plays. Jace whispered, "And Earth is the loudest place in the galaxy." She nodded. "We have less than 12 hours. The planned fight with Sound Jace and Travana worked quickly. They contacted everyone who helped with #LetHerPlay.radio. Hosts, musicians, DJs, teachers, even former soldiers. "We can't fight with guns," Jace said, "but we can fight with music." Travana added, "The Nihari destroy what they do not understand. We must make them hear something they can't destroy." "Like what?" a man asked. Jace smiled. "A concert." Building the stage in the center of the city, a massive stage was built overnight. Speakers tall as buildings. Screens showing every corner of the globe. It was called The Sound of Earth. The world came together. A child from Africa sang folk songs from her village. A band from Japan played thunderous drums. A choir in Brazil danced as they sang samba. Rock bands, rappers, violinists, even beatboxers performed. People danced in streets, on rooftops, in fields, and above them. The Nihari fleet arrived. The sky turns red. Massive dark ships blotted out the stars. They didn't speak. They didn't land. They simply hovered. Charging their weapons, Travana stood on stage, armor shining, mic in hand. She looked at the sky, and then she pressed play. "We are the world. We are the children." The speakers roared. Every corner of Earth sang together. The sound reached space. The Nihari ships shook. The moment of truth inside the Nihari mothership. Strange beings sat in silence. But now the sound had reached them. A song full of unity. Hope, emotion. They didn't understand the words, but they felt something. A memory of a world they once had. Of voices once silenced. The decision, just as the first Nihari weapon charged. Just as panic spread across Earth, the ships began to turn. One by one, the Nihari retreated. The concert had saved the world. After the music, the next morning, Earth woke to peace. Travana stood with Jace on the quiet rooftop of the shop. "I never thought sound could save a planet," she said. Jace grinned. "Neither did we." She looked at the sunrise. "I was trained for war, but Earth taught me music." Jace handed her an old cassette player. "Take this, in case you forget how humans sound." She smiled, truly smiled, for the first time. Then she whispered, "Play," and walked toward her ship.
Months passed since the day Earth played its loudest song. People still called it the day sound saved the world. Schools taught it in history. Musicians called it a miracle. Aliens called it impossible. But one name was remembered everywhere. Tr. Ivana. Return home. Ivana's ship glided silently back to her homeworld, a planet of warriors. When she landed, the Council of Blades stood waiting. You disobeyed orders, the leader said. You let Earth live. Travana didn't speak. You were trained to fight, not feel, another said. You failed your mission. She looked at them calmly, then reached into her belt and pressed play. A soft melody floated through the air, a recording of Earth's final concert. The council froze. The music touched something deep even in their cold hearts. What is this? They asked. Life, Travana said. A new mission instead of punishment. The council gave her a choice. Return to war, travel. The stars, and studied this sound. She had discovered. She didn't even hesitate. She took the second path. Her new mission, spread Earth's music. Music across the star Stravana, flew from one planet to another. She showed quiet civilizations how to hum. She gave angry species lullabies to sleep to. She gave lonely worlds the songs of Earth. On one frozen moon, she played jazz and saw children dance for the first time. On a gas planet, she played Hendrix, and warriors dropped their weapons in awe. And on a distant mining world, she found a boy who had never spoken until he heard guitar. Jace's letter back on Earth. Jace kept the store open. He often looked at the stars, wondering where Travana was. Then one day, a strange box arrived at his doorstep. Inside was a glowing crystal and a note to Jace, who taught a warrior to listen. This crystal holds the voices of 12 worlds now, singing, Earth's gift is spreading. Keep playing. TJ smiled. He added the crystal to the shop's display and played it galactic Sangwavion. Year later, the Galactic Council met for an emergency meeting. Not because of war, because of music. Thousands of alien planets had started creating instruments, writing songs, building radios. There was no law to stop it. No reason to fear. One ambassador stood and said, We feared noise. But maybe it is not chaos. Maybe it's the sound of connection. And just like that, a new motion was passed. Music is to be protected across the stars. Trivana's legacy. Trivana became known as the warrior who sang. Statues were built of her across planet's armor on her chest. Headphones on her ears. She never ruled. She never wanted fame. But her mission was clear. Show the universe that sound was not a weapon. It was a bridge. Earth's first interstellar broadcast on the 2nd anniversary of Earth's concert. A new signal went out from Earth. It wasn't a warning. It wasn't a threat. It was a song. Imagine all the people living life in peace. It played across satellites, ships, deep space. And in the dark, someone was always listening. One final scene. Vinyl dreams back at the little record shop. Jace taught kids how to mix music. He had a wall called Travana's Tracks. It held posters, recordings, photos of her standing under alien skies with instruments in hand. A young girl asked him, Will she ever come back? Jace chuckled. She never really left. She's just out there, hitting play, closing line, she came to destroy Earth's sound, but in the end, she became its loudest echo. End of story.